I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of
America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item on the agenda, approval of the regular agenda. A motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
We'll have to do roll call for each motion because John is remote.
Councilmember Cornett.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogg.
Aye.
Councilmember Cremona.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Mayor Giefer.
Aye. Approval of the consent agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Councilmember Rogg.
Aye.
Councilmember Cremona.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Cornett.
Aye.
Mayor Giefer.
Aye. Staff agenda items. First up is Brad, our city engineer, to talk about consideration of the cooperative agreement between the city of Grant and Washington County for engineering costs for Highway 12 Safe Routes to School Trail. You're up, Brad.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Let me share my screen. I've got the exhibit that was part of the agreement that's in your packet. Give me 2 seconds here. Can everybody see that map?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Again, good evening, Mayor and the council. Tonight we have a item related to the County Road 12 trail improvement. This addresses two topics: approval of a cooperative agreement with Washington County for engineering services and discussion and direction on snow removal and winter maintenance for the future trail. This continues our discussion from last month when council asked staff to explore snow removal responsibilities and potential costs for the County Road Trail, or County Road 12 trail. To do this, staff coordinated with Washington County, the school districts, neighboring communities, and our snow removal contractor, Ken Johnson, to understand capacity and limitations. Washington County does not typically maintain trails within its jurisdiction, including this segment. The school district and the city of Matamidi confirmed that they cannot take on any additional plowing. Ken Johnson could remove the snow on the trail using a pickup truck at minimal cost. Historically, the city's position has been to support limited trail construction, but not to provide snow removal. This context may be helpful as council considers direction on winter maintenance. It's also important to restate the cost sharing between the city and the county for engineering fees. These are typically split 50-50, and that's what is in the current agreement. To recap, phase 1 work completed to date includes geotechnical investigations, wetland delineations, and preliminary design work. The total cost to date for the city's share of this work is $14,718. The proposed phase 2 work, which includes the wetland mitigation, the permitting, wetland banking credits, and final design engineering. The city's share for that work is $27,607. So the combined total estimated engineering cost for the design of this trail for the city is $42,325. So the fees associated with this agreement do not include construction administration fees. These would come later after the project is bid. Construction administration fees are estimated at 10% of the construction costs. Based on the preliminary trail design, construction costs are estimated at $450,000, which would result in an estimated construction administration fee of $45,000, of which $22,500 would be the city's share. So the city's share for engineering costs for the entire trail project along CSAH 12 is $64,825. So as you know, this trail is part of the larger Safe Routes to School grant connecting County Road 12 to Matamidi School campus as a continuous and connected facility. In August, council approved moving forward with phase one, the preliminary design, to better understand the alignment, the impacts, and the costs. The cooperative agreement before you tonight allows the project to continue into final design and bidding, with Washington County as the lead agency managing the consultant contracts. It is also important to note that if the city decides not to move forward with the County Road 12 trail segment, the entire grant, including the connection to the school campus, is at risk. So tonight I'm requesting council action on two items. The first one is whether to approve the final design of the County Road 12 trail improvements and enter into the cooperative agreement with Washington County. And then secondly, if the agreement is approved, whether or not the city would provide snow removal. So with that said, I would be more than happy to answer any questions that the council or mayor would have.
Yeah, before we open it for discussion, I want to provide a clarification I just received on Friday at the school district's community leaders forum, which Barb, you were there. I think you heard that. Correct me if I misstated what I heard from one of the Matamidi council members there. He confirmed that the city of Matamidi is currently actually performing the winter maintenance on that trail section, and he didn't feel like it would be an issue for their city to continue doing so. But I think maybe we would want to have some sort of official agreement with the city of Matamidi. So just throwing that out there. Christine?
Mayor, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
You're referring to the 2025 trail construction that was completed as part of the roadway
Yeah.
construction
Yeah,
project.
they're
that's-
doing
That's
the,
further east of the intersection of the campus entrance.
yeah, so, we're talking about the section that was done previously, right?
Correct. That's
Yeah.
that's what they're maintaining right now.
Yeah, so I think we should just check with them and
Mayor, I think I've already reported to the council what happened when I called their city administrator, so I would
Well,
suggest
yeah,
we
there's-
pursue a different option.
there's-
If we want to do it, we can pursue a contract with our
There's-
contractor. Or
Okay,
again,
well,
continue with past
there's-
practice.
there's definitely some confusion on who's doing what there. And I don't know. We can just decide to, I don't know. What
I
do you-
guess,
Ask the question
Mayor,
again, but
if
I
I
asked the
may,
question and you know. the
I would
answer got.
assume that any cost to provide snow removal on this segment of trail would be minimal, whether Ken
Yeah, it
Johnson
doesn't-
does
it doesn't
or
se-
or if the city of Matamidi,
Yeah.
would volunteer to do it for the city of Grant.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like a big deal, so. Okay, open up to council discussion.
Mayor
Any
Giefer,
questions?
so the funds for construction have been secured as part of the Safe Routes Grant. Cost, what if it's over the construction amount? Are we on the hook 50/50 for that, or are you the good engineers got enough contingency in your bids that we're gonna be happy?
Yeah, Mayor, member of the council, Ryan Haves, I'm with Washington County, project manager there. So the Safe Routes to School grant was in coordination with the school district. So in total, we have just over $700,000. Our scope was about $550,000 to start. In an effort to reduce wetland impacts, the scope is reduced. So we're at $450,000 is estimated. So we're already below, I guess, what our grant is. So I think our contingency is strong.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate county and the school coming tonight. I don't know, maybe on a future project, I'd like to see you maybe before this. Now it kind of seems like, well, everyone's coming to the meeting to make sure we make the right vote. Not that I'm saying we won't, but I appreciate you all coming tonight and supporting the project. And, you know, these safe route schools are competitive and tough to get. So I think it's good that we got this. It does need some additional pedestrian access. The snow plowing thing, it's probably a minor thing in the scheme of things, Mr. Mayor, but that was my my major concern is where we end up ultimately on our city funds, and if the contingency's there for construction, and if something comes way off, I'm sure we'll hear from the county before they would award a contract, so that's my questions.
John, online?
Yeah, I am.
Do you have any questions, John?
It just seems as though the, as I read, it seems as though we are, on our, doing our fair share for the, partial funds for the, construction. It seemed as though that we weren't on agreeing on the snow removal. So I don't know if the city of Grant should be doing the snow removal, or it should be somebody else that is doing the snow removal that has been doing snow removal on other parts of it. So I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know how much it's going to be. It would be nice to know what it would cost to do snow removal. Maybe that's something that we can get partially reimbursed for if we do it as a city.
For clarity, based on the cooperative agreement, trail costs are 50/50. So would that include snow removal as well?
That's a good question. Brad?
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, typically, the trail maintenance is not a 50-50 split. It would be the responsibility of the city.
And just to re-clarify what you said earlier, your inclination is that snow removal will likely be, I'll say nominal, but fairly small costs in the grand scheme of things?
Yeah, talking with Ken Johnson, he thought he could easily remove the snow with his truck. There perhaps might be some damage to the turf adjacent to the trail that may need to be fixed every spring, but he certainly could do it at a minimal cost. We didn't, get to the exact number, but we could certainly do that. But again, we don't feel like the cost of removing the snow by the city of Grand Forces is very expensive. And if we can work on an agreement with the city of Matamita, even better, right?
I think that would be best. I think they would be happy to do that. I think there's a lot of confusion. When I spoke to the mayor of Matamita, Dick Brainerd, he called his city administrator, and his city administrator said he didn't know. And when the council member at the meeting I was referencing said, yeah, we do that, I'm pretty sure he's being accurate there. So given that they're doing that section now, I don't think that would be a big deal for them to do another couple 100 feet, but we can confirm that with them. I'd also like to thank Superintendent Duffin for coming and speaking, and also Washington County Commissioner Myron, and also the other folks that aren't here from Washington County, Public Works Director Wayne Sandberg and his crew, Kevin Peterson, Andrew Geisen, Joe Gustafson, Corey Slagle, Madeline Dahlmeyer. All those guys have been great to work with, so I appreciate your guys' partnership in not only this but other projects. So that being said, is there any more discussion before we entertain a motion?
Mayor Beaver, is it appropriate for a public question?
Not at this time, no.
I'm happy to make a motion to approve the cooperative agreement, and that understanding we would assume responsibility for the winter maintenance of the trail, and that given that we would perhaps explore if Matamita will do it, understanding if their answer is no, that the city would then be responsible for the snow maintenance.
A second.
I'll second.
Sorry. Sir. Councilmember Cremona.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
Aye.
Councilmember Cornett.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogg.
Aye.
Mayor Giefer.
Aye. Next up for you, Brad, consideration of patching and potholing contract.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this item is a request to authorize a one-year independent contractor agreement for roadway patching and pothole repair services. The city routinely contracts for bituminous patching and pothole repair to maintain safe and serviceable roadway conditions on paved streets. These services are essential for public safety, preserving pavement life, and responding quickly to worsening roadway conditions. For the past 6 years, the city has contracted with ARC Paving under an independent contract agreement that establishes responsibilities, insurance requirements, pricing, and service expectations. That agreement expired on December 25th, 2025, and the city requires continued roadway patching and pothole repair services throughout 2026. To ensure competitive pricing, staff requested quotes from 2 contractors for the 2026 roadway patching and pothole repair services. FPI paving contractors submitted a quote of $715 per crew hour with bituminous mix priced at $80 per ton. ARC Paving submitted a quote of $825 per crew hour with bituminous mix billed at cost and invoiced directly to the city. So while ARC Paving's hourly rate is higher, staff evaluated the proposals based on overall value and total anticipated cost to the city rather than hourly rates alone. Considerations included past performance, service reliability, efficiency, familiarity with city standards, mobilization practices, travel time, and total annual costs. In 2025, the city spent approximately $114,000 on pothole patching and roadway repairs, which included approximately 355 tons of bituminous mix. Staff used this historical data to prepare a comparable cost scenario for 2026. For comparison purposes, staff assumed 355 tons of bituminous mix, approximately 20 trips to the project locations, and 120 hours of crew time actively performing work at the project sites. Under this scenario, FPI quoted a rate of $715 per crew hour, which results in $85,800 for 120 hours of on-site work. While mobilization is included in the quoted hourly rate, FPI charges travel time on a port-to-port basis. Based on an estimated 30 minutes of travel each way, staff anticipates approximately 1 additional billable hour per trip, resulting in an estimated 20 additional hours of crew time, or $14,300. The results in the total estimated crew cost for FPI is $100,100. The bituminous mix under FPI's proposal would be billed at $80 per ton. At 355 tons, this results in a material cost of $28,400. The total estimated cost for FPI, including crew time and materials, is approximately $128,500. Now, ARC Paving's quoted rate of $825 per crew hour results in $99,000 for the same 120 hours of site work. ARC Paving is a local contractor and does not charge travel time to and from the project locations, therefore resulting in no additional billable hours beyond time spent performing the work. ARC Paving purchases bituminous mix at a market price from the same regional suppliers used by most paving contractors in the area. Based on 2025 data, ARC's average mix cost was approximately $81 per ton. At 355 tons, this results in a material cost of $28,755. So the total cost estimate for ARC Paving, including crew time and materials, is approximately $127,755, which is slightly lower than the comparable FPI estimate. ARC Paving typically operates with a 4-person crew, which for this type of patching and pothole repair work, the crew size is less critical than efficiency and experience, and ARC has consistently demonstrated reliable and efficient performance. The services quoted by both contractors are intended for small area patching and pothole repair and do not include the use of paving machines. Larger area patching or full width paving is not included in this agreement and would be bid separately if needed. Based on total cost comparisons, historical performances, and operational considerations, staff believes ARC paving provides the best overall value to the city for 2026 roadway patching and pothole repair services. Therefore, staff recommends entering into a new one-year independent contractor agreement with ARC Paving, Inc. with an expiration date of December 31st, 2026 to ensure uninterrupted roadway patching and pothole repair services. So the action I'm requesting tonight is a motion to authorize staff to enter into a one-year independent contractor agreement with ARC Paving for roadway patching and pothole repair services through December 31st, 2026. So with that said, I would be happy to answer any questions that the mayor or council would have.
So Brad, thank you for that. That was a lot of information. So to sum it up, we're talking ARC paving total all-in cost of $127,755 a year
Correct?
versus FPI a little bit higher at $128,500.
Correct.
Okay. For transparency, is it possible, because a lot of this information wasn't in the packet, could we get Brad's additional details that he shared included as an addendum?
It's already on the website.
It's already on the website, okay. All right, awesome. And then, let's see, that's all I had. What do you guys, any questions here, Lindsay?
This is more practical. So right now, because the last contract ended at the end of last year, what do we do during the month of January typically? Is it just because it's
There's no
winter?
potholing.
We don't need to patch, so we don't worry about it because it's cold?
Correct. There's, yeah, we don't typically,
Snow does it
the
first?
hot mix plants close in mid-November. They don't typically open up again until usually April or later. So none of this work is done during the winter months.
Brad or Christine, who directs the patching, what roads, or do we just say, we have X amount to spend, use your wise judgment subcontractor and go patch? Because I saw them out various times that I got no comment or no problem with their performance last year. Some people don't like the way it looked, but I think in the case of Kimbrough, they had to do something a little drastic and what I call maybe a smear patch. But who directs the roads? Do you give them a list? How does that work? Just so for us new ones on the council know a little bit.
Yeah, Mayor, members of the council, typically how that's worked in the past is Ken Johnson has directed the paving contractor, or we may get calls into the city administrator, and then she'll direct ARC paving. That's how it's worked in the past. So we try to do the best we can in covering the roads. You know, that smear patch seems to work a lot better than just pothole patching, especially when you've got a bunch of alligator cracks and things like that. So it may not look the prettiest, but it holds up better than a typical pothole patch where you're just filling in cleaning the hole and filling it in with hot mix.
John's online. John, do you have anything?
No, Brad did a good job discussing the details of both quotes. So I appreciate that, Brad.
Yeah. Given that there is a slight savings with ARC, and I've heard pretty positive feedback from residents, I'm inclined to stick with ARC.
I was just gonna have a question. Christine, I know you're new, so I feel like you probably aren't gonna be able to, maybe there's records, but I'm curious if we've had any either complaints or compliments regarding ARC specifically to the city, just to know that we've had them for a while, and absent one situation, I haven't heard anything specifically regarding their performance, and just curious if we have anything on record.
Yeah, Councilmember Cremona, I'm sorry, too new, and during the time of the year, I haven't heard anything one way or another.
I've seen a couple in my time out here different, and I think they do as good as anybody, better than some of the other ones we've had.
Yeah. Where they don't just throw it in there and leave the cars to tamp it down.
Mayor, members of the council, I know Ken Johnson really appreciates ARC paving being in town as well. They've been super responsive. Whenever he's asked them to come do a small patch or whatever, they've been super to work with and super responsive. So I think that goes a long way as well.
And another thing, they drive the roads every day. They know our roads like the back of our hand, so they know where to focus, and they do, like you said, work well with Ken, so.
And I did talk to Ryan a little bit, and I know he's thought that last year was a heavy year, meaning they did a little bit more potholing and patching than a typical year. But you never know what the spring is going to hold for us, right? The best scenario is that the frost comes out in a week and you get a good spring. But if you get a long, drawn-out spring, then that wreaks havoc with our streets. And you know, I want to say that, you know, we have $128,000 budgeted in our pothole repair and roadway patching budget, and hopefully we don't get to that amount.
Go ahead.
My thought is support the local, I mean, they're in Grant. I like that they're in Grant, that we get to kind of support our local businesses here, and given the fact they're also cheaper, and sounds like people have had positive experiences working with ARC, I'd move that we award the 2026 contract to ARC Paving.
I'll second.
Sorry, I'm just a little slow. Councilmember Anderson,
Aye.
Councilmember Cornett,
Aye.
Councilmember Rogg,
Aye.
Councilmember Cremona,
Aye.
Mayor Giefer.
Aye. City Planner Jennifer Swanson has no action items. City Attorney Amanda Johnson has no action items. Then we move to new business. Discussion on the McKusick Road project initiation. Brad, you're up again?
Yeah, let me see if I can find my exhibit here. Sorry. Oh. Sorry, I should have been prepared here. For some reason, it's not showing up now. Oh, there it is. Sorry. I think I've lost my connection.
We still see it, Brett.
Brad, can you hear us?
I can hear you, but
We can
I've
see you.
lost I've lost my
your
connection
internal.
to our server,
I feel you.
our office server. Let me see if I can't get it back here. Doesn't seem to be working. I apologize for that.
All right, we'll just
Go Rogue.
start off and we'll follow along. The folks that are in the audience
Okay.
won't be able to see anything, but hopefully people
You
watch
want me
online.
to work on it a little bit more, see if I can't get it restored here?
We can give a 5-minute recess, I guess. We'll take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, thank you.
Is it the same one that's in the packet, Brad?
Yeah, maybe you can,
Yeah, you could probably share it. Yeah.
Christina?
That's what I was trying to do.
Yeah,
That's what's,
Okay.
let's see.
yeah, I guess I didn't think about that. Good job.
Might be a short recess.
Let's see if
Here, I've got it,
you got, oh,
I think.
Oh, there it is.
Does everybody see that?
Not yet. Oh, yeah, we do.
Yeah. All right, well, the 5-minute recess turned into a 30-second recess. We're back.
All right. All right, thank you, Mayor and council members, for being patient. So I'm here this evening, I guess, to request a council direction regarding a potential roadway improvement project on McKusick Road. As outlined in the staff memo, this segment of McKusick Road is currently scheduled only for basic city-funded pavement maintenance in 2026. Based on roadway conditions, available funding, and the underlying pavement structure, staff believes this segment warrants consideration of a targeted improvement, such as a mill and overlay, rather than continued spot maintenance. McKusick Road is planned and funded in 2 primary segments. The segment 1 is west of 88th Street. The roadway, this roadway will receive a mill and overlay in 2026 through a development agreement associated with the former golf course property. The second segment, which is east of 88th Street to Manning Avenue, which is the segment we're here for tonight, does not have the same funding source and is currently reliant on city maintenance dollars. McKusick Road is also different from many local streets in Grant from a structural standpoint. Most city streets within the city of Grant that are local were constructed with relatively thin pavement sections, typically 2 to 2.5 inches of asphalt, which limits the rehabilitation options once the pavement begins to break down. McKusick Road, as a former county roadway, was built to a higher standard. Pavement cores indicate an existing asphalt thickness of approximately 8 to 10 inches, meaning the pavement structure remains sound and the distress observed today is mainly surface related. Residents along this segment were informed of their option to pursue a petition-driven improvement project, and a neighborhood meeting was held on December 1st to explain the petition process, the assessment methodology, estimated costs, and project timelines. Feedback from that meeting indicated concern about the difficulty of advancing a project through the petition process, given the participation thresholds involved and the varying levels of perceived benefit among properties. Under the city's special assessment policy, costs are allocated based on billable lots rather than footage. While the approach is fair, petition-driven projects can be challenging and typically take about a 1-year time frame from initiation to the end of construction. To accelerate this project, additional special counsels may be needed to complete all the required hearings and resolutions under Minnesota State Statute 429. So planning ahead helps keep the project on track for 2026 and minimizes disruption. So a council-initiated project allows for a holistic evaluation of McKusick Road, coordination with the adjacent segments already planned for construction, and application of city maintenance funds and potential grant opportunities to reduce the cost and disruption. So the 2026 represents a cost-effective opportunity with available funds and potential grant support, further reducing the assessment impacts. So with that context, staff is seeking council direction on whether the city should initiate a roadway improvement project for McKusick Road between 88th Street North and Manning Avenue for the 2026 construction season, and whether that project should proceed as a council-initiated improvement project rather than through a resident petition process. So with that said, I would be happy to answer any questions.
Greg, you want to go?
Sure. So at the December public meeting, Brad, you really didn't have costs. It was more the assessment process and how to move forward. And it was kind of left that the residents, similar to past practices, would have to petition to get the rest of McKusick done.
Councilmember Anderson, I did share some high-level cost estimates with the neighbors at the meeting. I did break it down between the segments and showed an estimate or estimated cost for the segment between 88th Street and Manning Avenue, and then what the developer was the escrow amount for what the developer was responsible for. So they have seen some preliminary costs, but a more detailed cost would happen during a feasibility report.
And the developer plans to do his portion this year. Is there a way we could meet with him, staff meet with him, and get a little better handle on his schedule? I think, as you mentioned, if we moved ahead as a city project, it'd be a bit of a lift to get this built yet this year. Not saying it can't be done, but I'd like to. My thoughts, council, is to pursue this as a city project, at least to the point of the improvement hearing. Get some real costs, some real funding scenarios, get the public input, and then make a decision. This is an opportunity where we've got some money to do a portion of the road, maybe some more grant funds. I don't know. I see Kevin snuck out on us. I don't know what the year. Maybe Brad knows that the potential McKusick work would be on the county side, but I think it's incumbent on us to at least look at maybe as Brad said, a holistic approach to this road. As part of your typical process, Brad, do you have another neighborhood meeting once you start the report? Because I'd really like to have the residents have more opportunity to get back to us. Maybe if we moved ahead with a report after it's presented to council, we have a neighborhood meeting prior to the improvement hearing, just so we give every opportunity to get full feedback from everybody to chip in what they thought. And at the end of the day, if they say, nope, we like it the way it is, that's fine. But I think we at least need to consider that process. And I think we should cast a broader net, look at the entire road as far as assessments, and maybe even the side streets of Lofton and a portion of 88th, because of, in Lofton's case, you don't get there but for McKusick. And let's look at everybody that benefits from this project, and maybe everybody chips in. That might include the city a little extra too. But I think if we moved ahead with the report, Brad could lay out some different potential assessment options, some funding options. I'm glad you had some info on the cores. I was curious about the road thickness, because this year's project, we're doing a reclaim and pave just because there's not enough mat there, but since that was a county road, and I'd assume we're doing at least a 2-inch mill, or the developer is, so we can get through all the patches and get to a decent surface to put a new wear course on. I'll stop rambling if the rest of the council wants to talk.
You can tell what he does for his day job.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Councilmember Anderson. So as far as the neighborhood meetings, I typically would prepare a draft report, and then I would meet the neighborhood before I would present it to council, because sometimes I get comments from the residents, and I would include those as part of the report. And so then you would have a comprehensive feasibility report that would include comments from the neighborhood. But I'm open to either way.
Yeah, Brad, it seemed that I was at that last meeting, that neighborhood meeting, because we had it here. It seemed like at that time it was a general favorability of the residents, or was I just totally misinterpreting that?
Yeah, I think generally there is, the neighbors or the residents are in favor of the project. They're, obviously they're in favor of improving McKusick, right?
Yeah.
But they're just, they weren't sure how the assessments would come into play, and how other things would, the construction of that segment between 88th and 96 would happen. And I certainly would like to engage the developer on the schedule on that project. Maybe we can push it off to 2027. He's been really good to work with so far, and he may be, amenable to pushing it out. That would give us more time, and at least to get through the special assessment process.
Yeah, Brad, I had thought that was kind of the plan all along, because I remember when we talked about moving McKusick from 2027 to 26 was the specific reason of collaborating with the developer on the project, getting the economies of scale, doing it in one project. So was that, what was the intent on that? Was it?
No, I think you're right, Mayor.
Yeah.
The small detail that we didn't anticipate was the schedule, right? Typically, from initiation to fully constructed it takes a year to get everything done for a specially assessed project. Now, in this case, since it's a mill and overlay, we may not need to do any cores on the segments of, between 88th and Manning. We could maybe assume that the cores the developer took on McKusick west of 88th Street would suffice, and so we wouldn't have to spend that extra money to do cores. Typically, we would do a survey on some of the road reclamation projects, and that's really just to get a good idea where the existing edge of roads are and a good cost estimate, knowing the limits of the roadway pavement. And I'm not sure that we would need a full topo survey of this road either. So I think we could speed up a little bit on preparing the feasibility report, maybe even perhaps a month to get that back to the council. I think the next steps here, if council decides to move forward with the project, we would bring back a resolution at the next meeting just to kickstart the project. So the council would, I guess the resolution would state that the council is initiating the project and ordering the feasibility report.
Brad, if I may ask a question?
Yeah.
Where do we stand on the grants for this section?
So the grant announcements, and it's really between Lofton and Manning. The grant announcements won't be made until April or so.
Okay. And so would that be the entire amount from Lofton to Manning, or would that be a portion?
Pretty close. I mean, it doesn't quite get us there, but it's most of it.
Okay, but that would cover that paving then, or mill and.
Yeah, it would. Yep, it would. It would cover the construction costs.
And so then, how many feet would be left over to do?
I want to say it's like 800 feet between 88th and Lofton.
And what would and what would be a cost typically that you would see for 800 feet of roadway for what we'd be doing?
Yeah, I don't know the numbers off of the top of my head, but I want to say my overall estimate for the entire roadway between Delwood Road to Manning was $900,000. And I think, again, if you break this into segments, the developer has got half of that.
Right.
Right. And the grant would pay whatever's left of that half, would almost pay for the other, for half of the half, right? So we might be talking $250,000 or $300,000 by the time it's all said and done for that middle section between Lofton and 88th Street.
Okay.
And those are all just rough numbers, right? Don't hold me to them.
Yeah, I don't know if we can count on that grant money. I mean, it's nice that we tried, but it seems like the success rate.
Well, I was just wondering what it would be, and where it would come from. Again, time will tell.
Yeah. So
You never know. I mean, they could surprise us, hopefully.
Brad, could we back up a little bit?
Sure.
I know you're talking about like the core measurements and all that stuff that Greg probably understands as, an engineer. But it seems like that road is so deteriorated, and so are you confident that a mill and overlay would be adequate for that project?
Yeah, so the cores that we looked at that were part of the developer's project, the pavement is intact, and it's really just the surface that's been beat so badly. So like Councilmember Anderson said, I think if we do a 2 or 2.5 inch mill and overlay, you know, get below those existing patches. You know, some of them are probably 3 inches deep just because they've been worked over the years, right? But looking at the cores, so the cores they take through the pavement and through the underlying gravel, and if you've got a bad core, it'll break apart when they pull it out. And we had evidence of that on the 66th Street project. I think I shared that information with council in September or October of last year, because I think that comment came up. Why don't we do a mill and overlay of 66th Street? And it was because of the core, the pavement core. It didn't hold together when you pulled it out. And so as soon as the pavement doesn't bind together or it falls apart, then a mill and overlay is not a good candidate for that roadway, and a reclamation project is the best solution.
So you're saying that the entire stretch, the developer portion and ours would work with the mill and overlay?
Yeah, so the portion that the developer is doing, they took cores of that portion, and the cores were intact. And so the stability of the roadway is intact.
For the developer portion, what about the?
Well, I guess that's what I'm saying is we could assume that the roadway was constructed all in the same year, right? Whenever that was, 20, 30, 40 years ago.
You don't think it's?
I'm just assuming the cores for our section that we would be responsible for would be similar to the ones that the developer took, and we wouldn't necessarily need to spend the extra money to do cores on the section that we want to do.
Well, I think it's a risk though, if we don't do a core sampling, assuming that it's going to be the same, and what do we find out?
It could. I mean, taking cores is very cheap. I mean, I think the last time we did it for 66th Street
Greg,
was
what are your thoughts?
$3,000 to do the cores.
Well, I think.
And we don't have to decide that tonight,
I was
right?
gonna say, Mayor, can
Go
I
ahead.
help maybe redirect? Because I feel like we're going down a little tangent here. So I want to, for
Yeah.
us non-engineers and folks in the room, maybe it would help if you first started with the overall policy question that's in front of you, which is, I think, significant from the little bit that I know of Grant, and that is, do you want to start a road project that's not petition oriented?
Yeah.
Right? That's really, I think that's the first question you want to ask and answer for yourselves, and then let's start going down it. If it's yes, then do you want to start that now, or do you want to do it later? And then get into all these little details. I think you might be getting a little lost in the weeds. To me, you should really first be answering that question of, do you want to stray from that past practice, which you can do per your policy, per state statute. Do you want to do that?
And I would also then include option A of that was what Greg brought up.
It's not options, it's steps. I'm trying to
steps.
help walk you through this
Steps.
process of it, I
Well,
guess.
yeah, so along,
Because if a majority of the council says, no, we're not going to do this unless we get petitioned, none of that other stuff matters.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to help guide you through the discussion.
We would need 4/5.
4/5, correct.
go ahead, Lindsay.
So yeah, so to that end, I know you mentioned that you had a neighborhood meeting. How many people attend this? Is this 100% participation, which I doubt is the case? I mean, how many people are showing up from the neighborhood?
Yeah, I want to say we had 20 to 25 people show up.
What percentage is
And,
that?
you know, there were husbands and wives, right? So it wasn't,
About 30%.
it wasn't more than half of the parcels representing the project show up, but it was over 20 people that showed up.
So I mean, would you say that's roughly 50% of the neighborhood, or are we looking under 50%? Based on your assessment,
Yeah,
trying to understand the percentage of how many people showed up on this.
Well, again, I'm not, you know, even if council decides to move forward with this process rather than using the petition process, we still have to follow the city's policy, right? Meaning we would give the residents the opportunity to weigh in at a second neighborhood meeting, either before the council meeting where we present the feasibility report or after. It doesn't make any difference. I guess the only question is whether the council wants to initiate the project or they want to wait for a petition. Now, the only difference, the cost of the feasibility report has always been borne by the city, regardless. And so we've always given the residents, once we do the feasibility report, we always give the residents the opportunity to come to the public hearings, to come to the neighborhood meetings, to voice their opinion whether they're in favor of a project or not. If we have that neighborhood meeting, you know, after we get the draft report done and we have more than 50% of the people still in favor of the project, well, then I think we keep moving forward. Or, you know, once we get to the public hearing, if we get an overwhelmingly amount of people that are not in favor of the project, then we could decide to cancel the project right there, right? So there's a lot of opportunities where you shouldn't feel like you're being trapped by having the council initiate the project or the project is initiated by petition. There is a few differences, like Christina said, you need 4/5 of the council to move the project or order the project. But again, those are things that we can work past.
Absolutely. I understand we have a couple off ramps if we're starting to go on this.
Correct.
I just wanted to kind of get an understanding of, you know, how we're starting this process possibly. If when the people are at this neighborhood meeting and it sounded like they were kind of driving of saying our preference is having a city initiated project. I'm trying to understand, is it 50% of the people of the neighborhood are kind of pushing that way? They just don't want to go through the resident petition process, or was it closer to 10%? That's where I'm trying to
No, I think
nail down.
a lot of the people that were at that meeting were in favor of a project, right? They just didn't want to go through, again, the position of putting a champion of the neighborhood in charge of getting this petition, right?
It can be awkward.
And that
You're
can be
knocking on
very
doors. You know?
time-consuming.
Well, Brad, do you think it was potentially the thinking that if the city initiated, then the city would pay for everything and they wouldn't be assessed anything? Do you think that's?
No. That was never the thought at the meeting. But it's always been that the city pays for the feasibility report. But then those costs, if a project does move forward, right? All those costs for the feasibility report and the process of getting to the end are rolled back into the assessment at the end of the project. But if the project doesn't move beyond, you know, after the feasibility report, then the risk, or the city takes on the risk of losing the opportunity to recoup the cost of doing the feasibility report is all.
So we essentially
which is a
front the
small
cost.
part of the project.
Right. So the city like eats it if we don't do it, but otherwise we front it and advance the cost if they do.
Yeah.
And that's, Brad,
And
we're
then-
talking about the $60,000 that would be used for that?
No. The feasibility reports, it would be somewhere between 12 and 15,000, I'm guessing, probably even less than that, depending on how much topo survey we do and if we want to do cores on the roadway segment that we're proposing, so.
Well, in your report, you mentioned that the city has $60,952 available to use for the project. So what specifically then were you suggesting?
Well, yeah, so that was what was allotted for maintenance for the patching of McKusick Road,
Okay, got it.
Can I,
based on our pavement management plan.
so,
Go ahead,
so I
Christine.
have to, because I know the budget's important, and you know that finance is a passion of mine, so I've been trying to unravel your budget. You heard earlier when we were talking about the patching budget that there's 128,000 in there, right? And I met with Sharon today, so there's that 128,000. There's 80,000 in seal coating. You also asked some really good questions about who's responsible for spending this money. So that 128,000 and that 80,000 for seal coating is basically what Brad gets to use for this 60,000, for the 37,000 that you heard for the Great Oak and 66th Street. I forget the. It's also what what ARC paving will get to use. It will also be the pot of money for whatever other seal coating projects might come forward. The pavement management plan that came to you was dated September 30th. That was after the preliminary levy was set. So there wasn't this extra 60,000. So I want to be very careful that it's maybe in your 10-year plan, but it's not in your 2026 budget. So this is something that will have to come out of fund balance if you decide to do it in 2026, or depending on the timing of some things, it might be something we spend and we have to levy and pay ourselves back in 2027, or it's part of our 2027 stuff. There's not this 12,000, even if it's just the feasibility stuff, there's not that funding in the 2026 budget. So again, we can pay ourselves back by increasing the levy next year to cover it. We'll do better next time on our budget.
If I may, that's maintenance dollars, right? If we don't move forward with a project and McKusick needs maintenance dollars, pothole patching or whatever, that money would be used, right? But if we move forward with a road reconstruction project, that $66,000 would just be leveraged against the special assessments, meaning it would offset some of the costs of the project.
Leveraged against the special assessments, but so if that's the city's contribution, where you're subtracting that from the special assessments, right? And so for the
Right,
city to have
correct.
that money, again, we're not letting ARC paving spend 128,000 this year. We're taking that 60,000 and also the 37,000 that we're saying the city's contributing for the other 2026 streets. So really, what is that? It's about 98,000 of that 128,000 if these two street projects go forward. I can't do the math quick. So what is that? 30,000 that's left there plus the 80,000 in seal coating.
Right. For everywhere else.
Yeah. is how Sharon explained it to me today. So I think I just want to be careful that we're not double counting
Yeah.
funds
No,
twice.
that's a good clarification. Go ahead, Lindsay.
So I'm newer on council. Have we ever done a city initiative project for a road construction? I know, Christina, you're new. Brad, you've been around for a while. Have you ever seen that in Grant?
No, we've never done that.
And if we do that, the assessment process is still the same, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then
Yeah,
Brad,
the
from
city
your,
policy is intact and we have to follow state statute 429.
and Brad, from your perspective, why should we treat McKusick different?
Well, so you've got this segment that's being done by the developer, correct?
Yep.
And we got another segment that's potentially being improved with grant money, this LRIP grant money. So what you have left is this middle section. You wouldn't get people that are living on the segment that's being completed by the developer. And you wouldn't get people that would be living on the piece that was completed using grant money to participate in a petition for the middle piece, right? There would be no reason for them to sign a petition because they already know that their road is being improved with other funding.
So it's a unique situation essentially that we're dealing with.
It is a
because-
unique situation.
And then if we decide to do a city-initiated order, could we at some point talk about the points that Greg brought up with Lofgren and some of these other streets, or would that be a complete separate overhaul of our road maintenance policy that we would have to do?
Yeah, that would be something that we've never done in the past. Now, at some point, I think that's going to have to happen. Some of those conversations are going to have to occur. Kimbrell Avenue is another example, right? Where you've got very low density and you may have to expand the assessments to the adjoining gravel roads to make those costs reasonable for the residents that do live on Kimbrell. And I think, McKusick is one of the city's most heavily traveled roadways as well. And, it's not just the residents that are living on this roadway that use it. So, I mean, at some point when you don't have the density and you've got more of a local collector roadway, you may have to look at alternative ways of assessing those projects.
But for now, we would be locked into our, if we were to move forward with this, we would be locked into our current policy. And what go ahead, Greg.
Actually, the policy says, unless otherwise directed by the city council, lots to be assessed are either addressed on the road to be improved or fronted on the road to be improved. So the way I read that is the council could direct otherwise from the policy. And that's what I'd like to see in the report, is maybe 3 or 4 options to assess this. Again,
I think
if
we're all
everybody
seeing the same,
benefits, everybody should pay a little bit. It's different. I haven't done it for a while or quite a while. Are you looking for a motion? Are you gonna come back with a resolution?
Well, I think we come back with a resolution to initiate the project, but tonight I'm just,
I'd like
again,
to
I
know
think,
that
like
for- I'd like-
Christina said, we're just looking for direction whether the council wants to initiate the project or not.
I'd like to hear from 4 of you individually, Nick. It doesn't have to be a formal vote, but, you know, at least a head nod or a hand raise.
Yeah, we got-
That,
we
let me
got
finish my
another
sentence
question
so
over
you
here.
know what you're raising your hand on. That you want to move forward with the city-initiated process.
I think we
and
generally-
then we can do that.
Okay, I
Don't
think-
let people talk. I want, right? Because some people,
Well, I'm
No, I just,
calling
you
on you.
asked me what I was looking for, and I'm trying to
I
answer.
wanna summarize everything that I've heard here real quick. From what it sounds like to me, they were in favor, they wanted more information, and if we go ahead with the council order, we can provide more information, and we have off-ramps should we need to, should the residents not like that. Is that correct?
Correct. We still have the same off-ramps we do with a petition project. Nothing changes.
That's what I'm.
And we
I
have
know-
the flexibility that Greg just mentioned in terms of assessment.
Yeah, if we look at the
Okay, I
entire
think-
road, we're leveraging the developer's money.
I think,
So
go ahead. John?
Oh, that's right, John's.
I was just gonna say, are we looking to do a feasibility report first?
Yes.
Yes.
So is that what we're looking for
Yeah.
as a motion, to start with a
That's
feasibility
the
report?
first, yep, the
No,
first.
tonight we're just looking for direction, whether or not you want to initiate the project by council, and then next month we would bring back the resolution, the formal resolution saying that the council is initiating this project, and to move forward into the feasibility report.
Go ahead.
And just to summarize, jumping off what Ben said, the cost towards the city would likely be between 12 to 15,000 if we don't move ahead at this point. So that's the most that we're
That's the
going
sunk
in on
cost,
it. Yeah,
okay.
sunk cost, exactly.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
All right, I think I got everything I need. Sorry it was a little bit more painful of a discussion than we would have liked,
No,
but
it's-
All right.
ready for a motion?
Do you want us to bring back a resolution at the next meeting to have a city-initiated project? Just nod your head. John?
Yes.
All right. I think we got our direction that we'll bring back a resolution for a city-initiated project.
Okay.
That's all we need, right, Brad?
Thank you. Yep, thank
And
you.
then, and then can we also, Brad, if the council agrees with Greg, and maybe this is too early, but going forward, we'd like to explore some of the different options and assessing some of the other side streets and stuff, so
Yeah, we certainly could do that, Mayor.
options. Okay. All right. Good on that one then?
I think so.
All right. That was, all right. Oh, Christina, now you're up.
This is gonna be another head nod, and I hope this one's gonna be easier. Would you like us to make our variance ordinance consistent with state law that passed in 2011? It'll cost us about $1,100 with Jennifer Amanda's time and publication costs.
Yeah, so I have
John,
not
does that
no
sound
brainer.
good to you?
Yeah.
The fun in that.
Okay, that's what I will give Jennifer the direction to do that.
Okay, well, I didn't even get to call her name and she wrapped that up. Okay, unfinished business, nothing. Discussion items, staff updates. Anything to share?
You see Jack's report in the packet again, as always. I won't go over that unless there's any questions you'd like me to follow up with him on. Continuing to work on code enforcement issues. Continue to have some repeat requesters. They're getting the same answers back from me. So if you hear from folks that they feel like they're not getting answers, please reach out to me. I'll tell you that and show you they're getting the same answers back. Also, just for the public's benefit, I know at the last council meeting, council had talked about a couple of policies that you had started looking at back in November and December, and we had talked about bringing them back. I'd like to kind of just scrap what you did last fall and start fresh, if that's okay. We'll kind of start with some best practices and maybe identifying comparable cities, so that's gonna always be easiest for us then to know who we're going to and seeing who we should be looking to when we're looking for policy updates and stuff. Councilmember Cremona had mentioned stuff about roles and responsibilities. I think the League of Minnesota Cities has some really good resources that we could talk about at a future council meeting, and what the mayor's role and just how much extra he's allowed to do than the rest of you. And in case anybody has weed complaints, the mayor is the weed inspector under state statute, so all of those complaints can go to him, just so the public knows. And then what was the other one was about performance evaluations. I know that in April, the council will need to make a decision about whether or not, council and myself will need to make a decision about whether or not this becomes a longer term relationship. I don't know if, one thought that I had is perhaps you do an informal performance evaluation at the March meeting. Could be as simple as us having a closed session. It's closed session under statute, as you learned last time, and it's feedback on what's Christina doing well, what could Christina do different, what are some goals. If that's something that council is interested in doing, we could schedule that for the end of our March meeting. Is that something folks are interested in?
Yeah, I think that's a good.
Okay.
idea.
I think that was all the updates I had.
Okay, city council reports, future agenda items, anything?
No, I'd just like to thank Christina for the updates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the updates, for those of you that are listening, Christina's been providing really detailed updates like every 2 weeks, I think. You know, since we're talking about, I'll throw in one specific item that she shared with us, is she saved us $6,000 for next year and the year after in the form of not having to pay Washington County property taxes for where we're sitting right now. So thank you for seeing that, and you know, the office hours, I've heard a couple of people saying that they're really jazzed about that. And one thing I wanted to ask you, Christina, in relation to your updates, the whole legislative initiative to preemptively take zoning rights away from the city, that seems like a really important topic for our community. Would that be something that we could post on the website just to give people information on where to find this legislation?
So
is
that changes so frequently, Mayor, that I, just to be honest, I would be hesitant.
Okay.
I'm gonna, like I told that one resident that reached out to you that you shared with me, we'll watch for the League of Minnesota Cities updates. In previous years, I know they've sent resolutions asking cities to pass in support of that. But even the Senate file and House file number that resident sent us was from a biennium ago. So I would worry about having out-of-date information.
Yeah,
Not
got
that I
it.
don't want to share it with folks, but
got
it's
it,
just
yeah.
gonna move so fast.
I noticed a change now from,
So
it was 2229 and 3418, so yeah, it changes, okay. But you're keeping an eye on that, so that's good, because that would definitely impact grants significantly if we were forced to put in duplexes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's all I had. Who would like to read the community calendar? Greg raised his hand.
I'll do it. Matamidi High School Board meetings Monday, February 9th and February 23rd, 7 p.m. at the Matamidi District Education Center. Stillwater Public School Board meetings Tuesdays, February 17th at the Oak Park Learning Center, 5:30 p.m. Washington County Commissioners meeting Tuesdays at the Government Center. You can watch Commissioner Myron at work. Thank you for attending. At 9 a.m. on Tuesdays, President's Day, Monday, February 16th, 2026.
And then you say motion to adjourn.
I would make a motion to adjourn, Mr.
Second.
Mayor.
I'll second.
Well, we got,
Everyone seconded.
Lindsay's voice first.
we need to do the roll
Who
call
am I
still?
on? Councilmember Cornett.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogg.
Aye.
Councilmember Cremona.
Aye.
Councilmember Anderson.
I,
Mayor Giefer.
Aye.
Yay. We did it.
man, that was a painful road.